Turn your mug off. So there you go. We are live, everybody. Welcome. Let's see. Do we have? I don't know. We have it even. We have a rabbit commercial, but do we have a rabbit intro? I don't think so. Anyway, yeah, we know about the African one. Thank you, Quake Cat. Anyway, welcome this afternoon. Been busy here on my end. And Canuck has too, but mainly it's been my side that's been holding the rabbit hole up all week. Been slammed and trying to, keep it all together. And if I share the screen, let's see, there's this one, that one, window. I share the window? No. What window? Well, anyway, it's a window. Share it on the screen. There you go. There's the Wabbit hole. And yeah, and then they're sharing it. I say the display capture should be going over to properties. Should be going over. Well, I guess it is the right one, isn't it? Window capture, actually. The window should be to this one. Okay. So if I do that, they get it. And you should be able to see what I'm looking at on JSL. Am I right?
Yeah, I gotta look here.
All right.
Now I'm back in the melon.
See all my settings. I don't really like that. That sucks. But
yeah, it's working in both.
Yeah. It is. Let's see. Walleye King is en route to this location. He'll be here about 24 hours from now, or barely, maybe a little bit less. And depends on the traffic, depends on the weather, depends on how much he gets up and goes. He's entered South Dakota now, so we'll keep you with the updates as much as possible. Going to be a long night.
He's not driving there with the snowplow, is he?
No.
That would cost like $1 bazillion. Probably.
No kidding, right? Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't need to show you all these things. And I don't like it doing that anyway. But if I shared the other screen, how about share screen? The MSC, bing, load that one, show on screen. Yeah, there you go. All right, so you can see the screen. Am I right? Yeah, and then
I can see it.
And then their window capture. Oh, display capture, window capture. Yeah, that's where I want them to see. All right, so they're going to be able to see everything we see. Interesting case of events today. Some big quakes, big quakes happening around the world. And also there's some news with Iceland. Which do you want to talk about first there, Canuck?
Well, we can do Iceland, I guess, first.
All right, good.
Shortest.
All right.
Well, the main thing they're worried about right now is that lava that's coming out of the current vent is still going south, but it's going underneath the old lava and lifting it up.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it's lifting it up like a laccolith. That's like how they describe it, because it's lifting the old layers of lava up, and it's like going up over the top of the berm. And the old lava is like rolling over or whatever. So it's not the actual molten lava that it's not going over the top of the berm. But they're worried that it may do that if, like, say the eruption increases again and more comes out. They're afraid that it's going to push it up, and then eventually it's going to come over the top of the wall, the berms, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. And I do have Rig Chains Peninsula, Iceland here, but it seems to have, hiccuped a little bit. Continue. I'm going to grab something. I'll be right back. But continue with your update.
And the other thing they're worried about, that based upon how it's been rising at Svartsengi, they think it's got like 10 million cubic meters of magma in the magma chamber again. So they're saying it could erupt again at any time. And they're afraid that it will make the current vent that's open now increase again, or it might bust through in a new fissure somewhere else. And there's a guy that's been studying the historical eruptions, that I read this today, from back like 800 years ago. And he said from the stuff that he discovered that it was actually erupting out of different locations, like 2 or 3 at once, back 800 years ago. So what they're worried about now, if this is following the same pattern as what it did then, they might have like it erupting from more than one spot. And if it does that, see, they don't know what to do, right? Because they don't know where, because they always try and adjust the defense walls based upon one place. So they're kind of worried about that now too, that what if we have another big 2 to 3 kilometer fissure open up in a different spot that they're not expecting. And so that's what they're worried about that now too.
Yeah, I can see the way it's risen quite a bit above the berm they made.
Yeah. And the guy that studies the historical eruptions, he said when it did this, it went on for 30 years, not all at the same fissure, but moving around to different places. So he said sometime there was multiple fissures erupting all at the same time, which they've never had that yet, really. They had that little tiny one there that was in January that opened up a little bit below the main one, the one that burned up the 3 houses in Grindavik. But one of the other people were suggesting that one could open up in the harbor under the water.
Right.
And that would screw them all over completely, because it would make terrible gas right in the harbor from the magma or the fissure coming up underneath the water, and then they wouldn't be able to use the harbor. So it's pretty crazy stuff that's going on there right now.
Right.
Yeah. So all these different people are giving their different views, and I don't know what they're going to do, because they basically just have to wait to see, because they're kind of confused about how it's working now, because it's not how the previous eruptions worked. So they couldn't really follow the same plans and procedures as what they were doing before. And so I don't know. It's pretty crazy stuff.
The earthquakes are not very strong right now.
No. And they figure if it does come up in a newer location, other than the line that it's already been doing, that there should be earthquakes before it comes up. So there should be some warning, but they said it could come up in the same line there now without any warning. So just like what it did there the last time.
Right in the middle. Right here, 14 days right in here. Yeah, in 1 year. These are where the 2 eruptions are happening. All right. Yep, I see. Yeah, not a whole large. The magma's just moving. It's creeping. It's like slowly pouring into it, looks like.
Yeah. And it's going underneath and lifting the old stuff up, but they can't really see it until they see the top stuff lifting up, right?
Right.
And that's all just happened in the last few days. And they're going, oh crap.
Shit.
Well, they were thinking it was just going underneath and flowing out somewheres, but it isn't. It's like lifting the old stuff up. So they weren't expecting it to do that, I guess. But
well, what's interesting as well is Hawaii's acting up. So it's like, hey, what's going on? You got two islands, and both of them are acting up. Yeah, Hawaii. It just picked up last night. I don't know, probably 9 or 10 my time. It just started picking up, and that was reload. I forget what earthquake it was, but yeah, Hawaii last night. The mid-Atlantic one. Look at this crap. I see it right here. All right, mid-Indian. We need to talk about the mid-Indian banging hard too. We just had another quake in Mariting, Philippines.
Yeah, because there's another line from the Mid-Indian Ridge quake.
Straight up, dude.
Yeah, up through Philippines and right on up through to the 6.5.
That's definitely a liniment, dude. That is definitely a liniment that's been activated somehow. I think it's always been there, but I'm a bit more concerned about Japan now. Now that this liniment is kicked off a bunch of sixes, and one's a 6.9, one's a 6.7, 6.8, and I guess the Indian Ridge was a 5.3.
Yeah.
The official numbers I don't agree with, but I'm looking at a 5.3, a 5.7, 5.7, 5.7. Yeah, freaking Indian Ridge was a 5.7. One of them anyway.
Yeah, so, and Quake Cat put in there earlier that there's actually more than that. It's just they're not showing them all.
Dub Diesel and the AZ, baby. Just wondering if the New York quakes are connected.
Yeah, I think the New York ones are related. They're more on the line that goes to Iceland. Well, New Jersey, technically.
Well, if you look at this, I know we're looking at a flat map. The angle here. And the angle here. Not exactly the same angle. Also, I think through the let me look at here.
When I looked up the historical New Jersey quakes, every single one was after there was a volcano erupting in Iceland.
Right, let me see here.
Like going way back, as far back as they have records here in the States.
All right, look at the display capture. All right, this happened right after Indonesia had happened. This video I'm showing here on JSL. Let me see if I can share that with you as well, Canuck, because there. Share screen.
Well, and there's a liniment line going the other way where the Eritrea quake is there in Africa.
This video here, or this image here, I knew about the earthquake. I didn't know exactly where it was, but the Bonin Islands right up here, and then the Indian Ridge right here. I drew a line between the two because I'm saying that that's a liniment line, a very active line. It goes through here's Sulawesi over here, Micronesia or whatever it is. I don't know if it's Micronesia, but I don't know what they call that. Let me see. Borneo. Yeah. Malaysia. Okay. Malaysia side of Indonesia. All right.
Well, it used to be called Borneo, but now the official name is Kalimantan.
Oh, is it? Malaysia. Yeah. All right. So Kalimantan. Anyway, so I drew this line today and I go, all right, somewhere along this line is that other quake. And sure enough, in looking at it, don't save that one. Where is it? It's right here. All right. Y'all can see that one. Oops, sorry.
Well, I just go on the earthquakes.
There it is.
Tracker. Yeah, the earthquakes tracker app, and then I can see it because it's got 48 hours of quakes. That's how I see all these lines.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, look, it's doing that again.
Yeah, and some people don't, I think, I don't know if anybody else has been talking about us other than JSL. Although we're dealing with a flat map, it's almost, and I'm not a flat earther at all. It's almost like, hey, what the hell? I mean, bang, bang, bang. Come on. And the only way I can explain it has to be from our last rabbit hole where we talked about the limit lines and the electromagnetic lines that, encompass our Earth, that 1 protects us and 2 keeps us alive. And, 3 emanates out of our core. And it's that magnetism that both attracts and repels, that there are areas in that are, I don't know, they're kind of hierarchical of sorts, meaning some are stronger than others. And this is one of the main northeast to southwest line, or you can say the reverse, southwest to northeast line. This is not the only one in the world. There's one off the United States. And I think that's interesting because we see a lot of them northwest to southeast, but we don't see these ones so much. And I don't know why that is. But probably because of where the sensors are, they're just not able to show us it, or because there's so many earthquakes happening. I don't know. I don't have the answer. But I think it's very odd to see. I mean, you would almost have to say that up in this region in, let me see, hide stream, share screen, window, USGS, share, show on stream. Hold on, show on stream. Here you go.
I think they're catching on to all this stuff, but it's all the different groups coming at it from a slightly different angle.
Yeah. I would say that up here by Kamchatka is right now on the excited watch list. But sometimes going through Japan, it might hit the Japan Trench or the Kuril Trench, but somewhere up in this region, it's hot to trot, man.
And of course, we didn't know what the Mid-Indian Ridge was doing back, like when all these other big quakes happened, like Nankai Trough and all that.
No, because they didn't have any sensors out there in the 40s when the last Nankai Trough went off. And we still have Taiwan. Remember, Taiwan just a couple of days ago had another infusion of activity. And you can see on the quake list here is a 4.3 today even.
Yeah.
And if we just did the 7-day 7-day deal.
Well, what I think is the magnetic field lines or the lineaments are being charged somehow, but I don't know how that process works, because at certain times ones are more active than others.
Right.
And you'd have to figure out like how it's actually charging those lines.
Right.
Like, it never made sense to me until I started studying all the magnetic side of everything, because everything all relates to magnetics. So I think that's what it's actually doing. And for us to be able to see this, like, we're only getting technology good enough now that we can actually detect magnetic fields coming from like everything, right?
Right. And what you see on your screen now, you see, they can see it good. This is the magnetic lines that, this is an artist drawing. The lines represent magnetic fields: blue when the field points toward the center, and yellow when it's away. Rotation Earth axis is centered and vertical. The dense clusters of lines are within Earth's core. And it is wild.
What I think is the magnetic field lines are moving everything.
Well, it makes sense if you have. I don't know if I can draw it and still see it.
Like what they're trying to do now is they're trying to find a magic fault that moves everything, and that's not how it works. The faults are just evidence of the lineaments or the magnetic field lines.
I agree, and that's kind of what we've been talking about often.
So what they should be trying to find is the actual magnetic field line or lineament or whatever name you want to give it, to figure out how it works, because they're like trying to do it by faults, where a fault only slips a little bit at a time, but it's not the ultimate thing that's controlling it. Because the bigger the quake, the more it slips, right? Because the quakes technically are the plates moving. But what I want to understand is what's making the whole thing move, right? Because that's the real key to this.
Well, like that image we saw magnetic lines emanating. Oh, sorry. Coming out, and coming out. Then you got magnetic lines that go in, and go in. These things, and I'm going to draw another circle in here to represent the core. And I think they can see this.
And those magnetic field lines are reacting to other stuff that's interacting with them, that's coming in from outer space, I guess, which can be many different things.
Well, I think they're rotating. And I think they're rotating with what we have, like on one side. Let's see here. I'll just put it blank. Like we got El Nino, right? On the backside, we have La Nina, right?
Well, another thing that's interesting, when I started looking up the mid-Indian Ridge quakes and the antipode, well, where the antipode is, it's like where all the tornadoes are generating in Kansas and Nebraska, which is pretty interesting. It's the same spot if you look on the antipode, because it's like over towards the western side of Kansas, and that same area is where all the thunderstorms are generating. Like, we could really, because I think it's all related, because it's always been related. It's just, you have to look at from all these different things. And then you say, oh, crap.
It's a big giant system that everything has a play in. It isn't just one plate banging another plate and it's waiting for the Coulomb stress to explode. It's more than that. And with weather being part of it, weather is just a response of what's happening with these electromagnetic lines in our planet. Like you see the red line there, that red line represents a plate boundary. The round line in the middle, or the circle in the middle, that's the core. The blue lines are the ones coming out. The yellow lines are the ones going in. And they're all rotating around the planet. The core is spinning. They said it stopped. I think they're full of shit. Sorry. Right? I think they're full of crap. I think if it stops, I think everything else stops. because magnetism. Weather would stop. Oh yeah, we have wind. What's creating the wind? And they kind of understand that. What's creating the weather and how it's cyclical. Like let me just do this. Like across the planet, it starts up here, moves down here, then it rises up here, moves down here, rises up in here, moves down here, and it goes around the planet. Then in the south, it does the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's wild stuff.
So it's all of these things are happening all at once. And the thing that keeps them all together, I think that this is probably, maybe the definition of what gravity is. All these things working together, because they don't understand gravity. There's no definition for it. What's ever keeping our feet on the ground? And it's we're glued to the planet for some reason.
They always find magnetic and gravity anomalies all at the same place.
I think it's a matter of tectonic plate stress. Quake Cat, I think you're correct in what you're saying, but I think it's more than just, it's how the plate's moving. Okay, well, it's heat rising up from the core, right? In these bubbles of and we're looking at these heat bubbles that rise up to the surface, right, and push the plates one way or another, right? And then when the plates smash, they build mountains, right? So it's mountain building because there's another plate, because there's another push of stuff from the core, right?
Yeah, because if you read all the studies now, they're trying to figure out, well, why does magma decide to come up 800 years later in the Reykjanes Peninsula? Like, why is it doing that? What causes it to come up there? And that's all the stuff they're trying to figure out now. So there's some cycle that all this stuff is on that we haven't figured it out yet.
Right. And they talk about the conveyor belt that the crust rides on, right? And a lot of that is going on, the conveyor belt, the mountain building, right? Mountain building on this side of the planet, and then the crust, and then we have the power coming up from the core, and the heat rising up from the core, pushing both ways, and because heat rises, and I forget what it calls the conveyor belt, right? It's cyclical, it turns, and it's going in one direction, where the subduction happens, in this place, or wrong color, in this place, and then overlapping happens over here, and then spreading happens over here and here, and it's all of these things together. It isn't just one plate smashing another plate. The movement of the plates themselves is part of the process. I think that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the process of all of this, not just, hey, there's an earthquake there. I think we're trying to understand, and I think what I put words in your mouth, please correct me, Canuck. I think that's what you're saying too. I think you're saying the process is more than just one plate banging another plate. And where they bang together or push together, we see the evidence of earthquakes, but there's a process of moving one plate to the other plate. There's one process of the rocks breaking due to heat, due to erosion, due to plate smashing on a plate, and in mountain building, and in mountain erosion, and it's subducting and then rising up by creating new land. There's one theory where all the land that we have here is being recycled, and it's just coming back up. It goes down one side, comes back the other. But what's her name? Karen Siglock, well, she blew holes in that theory that as well as these orange bubbles coming up from the core are going up, there's plots of land that is going down. And then she said it goes, when it goes down, it goes into like a, hard candy, whatever. And it only goes so far. And then it's stuck down there. It doesn't go anywhere. So that kind of blows up the theory where we're regrowing or reusing the land that went underneath, and the land that's up there in Alaska, it's going underneath in that big trench. It's coming up where? On the other side of the planet, wherever the conveyor belt is going. All right. Well, I think Karen Siglock's theory blows that out of the water, because there are some things that are happening that other thing is not happening. Hello, Eddie. Nice to see you.
Well, the farther they go in the mantle, they keep finding all this missing stuff that was from a previous plate. So then they got to come up with what's that down there? We got to give that a name and figure out where it was. Right.
And we got to call that that's the America plate, or the
Billy Bob plate, or Fred
right.
plate. You call it whatever you want, but then you have to backtrack to fit it into all this stuff. So it's not as simple as how they're trying to make the tectonic models.
And a lot of that is, I've always struggled with the idea of the plates moving and how they've said, oh yeah, North America was over there by the mid-Atlantic, ridge, and it moved in a certain way. And it took, 200 million years for it to do that. And in that same time period, we had a 60 million years ago, an asteroid hit that killed all life, or there was multiple asteroids. We don't know. I've heard two theories on that. But at that same time, wherever it hit there in the Gulf of Mexico, that area hasn't changed in 100 million years. Why is that?
Well, what they're trying to do, they're trying to find a magic fault that moved everything. But I think it's the magnetic field lines that are moving everything. So that's what they should be trying to identify. Now, I don't know if the neotectonics people, if that's what they're trying to do. Or not.
And we discussed what those guys were. They're more of contemporary people studying contemporary earthquakes. The other ones were the ones that are discussing longer term earthquakes. And so the neotectonic peoples are, a couple of million years looking at all the faults and all the quakes, versus tectonics is looking at the larger picture of what tectonics is. And these neo guys, they are seeing some interesting things about how earthquakes are happening. It isn't just plate smashing,
Yeah, well, I think the neotectonic people are more concerned about identifying the lineaments, or whatever you want to give them, so they can figure out where all the good stuff is to mine.
Well, those guys, the miners are paying the neotectonic people. That's why they're interested there. Yeah, no doubt. And everybody wants to have their piece of the pie, right?
Like, I don't think they even care about the earthquakes, really, unless it's bringing something closer to the surface so that they can mine it. That would be the only.
Yeah, like you said, they're working for the oil and gas industry and precious minerals. Yeah. Because it's weird that precious metals are drawn to these same lineaments, but you don't hear that in common language.
Because that's how the neotectonics people, the original lineament people, or basement tectonics, because they changed the name of the conference. Sure. They've changed it like I don't know how many times. And now they actually have it 3 times. It's 3 times a year now, even with COVID, and it's always in Europe. So they move it around Europe.
Right.
Which is pretty interesting.
I think this stuff is really far out, And to say things are just random without saying, what is random in the universe? Is there anything random in the universe? When you can take a molecule, a proton in one, let's say, just a regular proton here, and spin it one way, and across the whole universe, it's another proton will spin the same direction. How does that happen?
Well, to me, random is when you say something's random, it's just because you don't understand how it's working.
I like your definition. Yes,
That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
And there's always stuff that we're never going to understand. We can try, but
Right.
we're supposed to keep trying and try and figure out these things.
Right.
Because years ago they said a lot of things were random, and then they found out, oh well, it's not random. So, to me, when somebody's saying, "Oh, it's just random," that's all relative. Like the theory of relativity.
Theory of relativity. The thing we're trying to say too is these magnetic lines, they're not static. There's something that the either crust or the upper mantle, lower mantle, lower layer, upper layer core has more attention along a given line or in a given direction. Like there's maybe there's more core of metal there, or something that attracts that metal, or that's electronically or electrically or magnetically charged, that it happens more than not along that line. And because of that, we get these earthquake faults that happen along that stinking line. And it isn't just earthquake faults. It's crisscrossing earthquake faults. I mean, you got this plate boundary and that plate boundary. We got this fault and that fault. And yet these lines that we show on, like we did in the beginning, it's very odd. Why they're not there? I think that's the question that nobody asks, is why is that happening there? And consistent.
Well, like you can break it down to like an individual incident, like the quake there that was in, I think it was 2016 in Kansas or Oklahoma. I can't remember. Kansas, I think it was. And if you go in and read all the stuff about where the quake was, and of course they blamed it on fracking, but then when they went down underneath, they found there was two faults going opposite ways. So one was going northwest to southeast, the other one northeast to southwest, and they were crossing over, and the quake happened right where those two intersect.
Right.
In Kansas or Oklahoma, I can't remember which place it was now. And it was like a notable quake. And when they did the study on it, they said, oh crap, there's two faults here that we didn't know were there that were crossing over each other, kind of like what they found out when Ridgecrest happened, because it was two faults. One they didn't know about, and then the other one they knew about, but the quake on one affected the other one. And this is all the stuff they're finding out now once they go more into this. So one is affecting the other, and it's all these faults that are crossing over each other, but it's the same thing with the lineaments. Because you have lineaments crossing over each other too. So it's the same. It's just crazy stuff.
Agreed.
Like when I started looking into this, like it didn't make sense to me till I started putting all these other things together. Like when I was only coming at it from the earthquake side, well, then it's one way, but then you have to look and see all these other things too. And it's just wild. Like why in Tornado Alley do all the tornadoes move from southwest to northeast? I thought that's interesting, because a lot of those fault or the lineaments that cut through there.
Exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Why is it going the same way as them, or the same way as the faults cut through? But it doesn't seem to go the other way. Like
right.
The tornado.
You kind of wonder, is the weather related to the planet, or is the weather just haphazardly being blown about by the wind? Or is the wind and the way it works, is it connected somehow to the earth itself rather than just being a complete and wholly independent system upon the face of the earth? You know, like, oh, well, right now you can say, well, yeah, that's a place where tornadoes are going to happen a lot. Why? Well, the shape of the earth, the way the wind always blows through there, or is it more than that? And why is it that it goes, like he said, you know, south, west to northeast across, you know, I can understand the weather pushing it, you know, in one direction, you know, east to west or west to east across the United States. But why do these things just create themselves? And to me, it's got to be just, it's fantastic thinking about them.
Well, there is heat and cold air
Sure.
too, right? But they seem to be generating like over the same areas that have faults that match the same direction, which I find super interesting.
Right. Yeah,
you can get in all sorts of tangents relating to this, because if everything's related to magnetics, you can go like 5 billion different ways with it.
Yeah, and freaking more weather here. My boy Canuck, he's in South Dakota now, heading toward Nebraska, and he's gonna run into weather. Doesn't look like a whole lot of bad weather, but there's some weather. The bad weather's in Kansas and into Iowa. Very, very, very bad weather. Oklahoma, Kansas, and Iowa right now. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff over the Rockies at the moment. So I know the direction he's going, but I don't know if he'll make a left-hand turn or continue going south. I just don't know. This guy, he's a wild man. And I think he's going to go in one direction. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, like here now, we're supposed to be like sunny for a week, which we haven't had that. I can't even remember.
I don't know if you're going to be sunny for a week. I'm watching some stuff go your way right now, boy.
Yeah, but it's supposed to all like peter out before it gets here. Yeah, because we don't have any rain.
Well, that Missouri,
our forecast
Iowa,
for like end of next week.
Yeah, and Ohio just blew up big, and so did Kansas and Iowa and Illinois, and holy smokes. Not fun. There's a lot of people not having fun right now.
Oh yeah, because all the storm chasers are all having a field day earlier.
But
I looked at it.
Yeah, well, I don't know, buddy. I think it's pretty far out watching the big quakes happen in the Indonesia, Philippines, Taiwan, and even in the Indian Ocean. And it's like, you can't deny that. You just can't deny that line. And what is affecting it? And it's like, why wasn't there a big one over here or over there? Why is it bang, 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 right along that line? And yes, they're hitting the plate boundaries, but they're not following the plate boundaries. I think that's been the mistake that we've been told, that it's following the plate boundaries. I don't believe that. I think they're following the lineaments, which crisscross plate boundaries.
Yeah, and that's why you get the intraplate quakes, that they're always trying to figure out, well, what fault caused this?
Right.
When
the faults are actually the representation of what's happening in the other arena, such as a lineament, or what's happening from space, what the sun does. Talking about space weather, or solar wind right now is 439. Density of the protons is 1.9. We've had an M3 today, and at 2140 UT on the 27th. So let me look at that, how close ago that was.
And what's
We
weird
just
is
had an M3. We had an M. What was this? An M2, and now we just had an M3 about an hour ago. Oh, click. Go to 6 hours. Yeah, we had the peak. It peaked out at 2140, and we are at 2330. So 2 hours ago it peaked. I wondered what all that was going on. It never got below a C 3.5. It went up, and it's petering out right now. But God bless America, 2 M's today. Boom, boom. The other one happened, peaked out at 1234, started at 1224. It took 10 minutes for that sucker to peak. Start the climb. When did the climb start? Right here, 2020. And by 2140, an hour later, it peaked out. Oh my gosh. And let's see, where did it zap?
Well, and for a long time now, all the bigger quakes have been like the West Pacific.
Correct.
Big quakes. Correct. Like we haven't had any big ones in South America. There's been nothing in North America.
Right.
Yeah, before that, you go back all the way to the start of the previous year was the Turkey quakes. There really hasn't been anything big in like South America or North America for a long time now. Which is kind of weird. So why does it all seem to be focusing on more one side than the other? That's kind of strange too.
All right. So hold on a second. Play this commercial. All right. This is the Rabbit commercial. Don't want that one. I want the morning commercial. Those are the other ones for JSL right now. Hi, I'm Joe of the Joe Slick Live Show. My interactive live show is on twitch.tv/Joe Slick Live. Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and occasionally in the evenings at 7. During the live show, I review and talk about reports from government, private, and other reporting agencies and websites regarding celestial and terrestrial phenomena. Topics will include solar flares, sunspots, geomatic storms, and near-Earth asteroids and comets that are being monitored around the world. Included in the report is current events in the last 12 to 24 hours here on Earth, consisting of volcanic, seismic, and weather events. I close the morning report off with what's happening in the local and world news. Thank you, and you can be a part of the morning report by going to twitch.tv/Joe Slick Live. Look forward to seeing you there, and remember, don't get none on you. And make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Ping that bell so you know when we go live again. And if you're over there on YouTube or on Facebook, please join us. I know we're at 48 minutes into the broadcast. We got about 12 minutes left. And it got zapped. Hawaii got zapped pretty hard. And I'll show you that one, Canuck. I'll share that with you. Screen. There we go. Sharing this one. Once it comes up, there we go. Watch it as it goes across the United States. And then it bombs out here big right over Hawaii. A big M3. And the noise in the background is my neighbors. All the side-by-sides.
Yeah, they're tooting.
Yep. As you can see, it's moving across 2,100 hours. Oh, there it goes. It's getting ready. And there.
Yeah.
So totally zapped it, man. Yeah. Well, see, that just happened today too. So volcanically, nothing big has happened volcanically, and we've been talking about it for a minute. Geometric Storm Watch G1 on April 26th. Don't have to make a direct hit cause a geometric storm. Storms are possible on the 27th and 28th. And looking at this here for GSL, I don't see anything really big to be concerned about. There is 3654. Where the hell is that one? Oh shit! It's directed right at us, or just off to the right of us. So it's passing us. There's a one sunspot left of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sunspots. One of them has a beta gamma magnetic field, and so it has a chance for M solar flares, and that's what we're encountering now. So be aware of that. Anyway, stuff is going on, baby. And 30% chance for a flare today. An X is at 5%. M is 30%. Geomatic storm probabilities 25% after today in the mid latitudes and upper latitudes of 15%. And being the 27th today, we have one rock that's 150 feet across, and it's about 5 million miles away from us. Not to worry. But these weather storms, if you're in the neighborhood of these weather things, man, please take shelter. Looks like Susan's okay right now. Timmy got a little bit of rain, but this stuff here, man, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, and Illinois, Nebraska. Oh my God. Yeah. Be safe out there, will you, when you're traveling, or, if it's coming to your home, get shelter, please. Nobody wants you to get hurt. Do you have anything else you want to close with there, Canuck?
No, I was just checking there on the volcano in Indonesia, but now they're trying to figure out how it's going to affect the weather, that big eruption, Ruang.
Oh, wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
And it went up 55,000 feet. So that was a pretty good blast. And got a Marhara. We have Ibu and Dakono both pop, and, a mile high plus it consistently. So, going 4 and 5 miles high, that's pretty insane for a lot of blasts. But when you get a mile high every day, there's a lot more stuff happening with that than the one. But find it interesting, man. I do. It's far out, man. Yeah, I don't know, man. The rabbit hole is a little shorter now instead of the 3-hour deal, probably because it's a little more condensed for you, and you can enjoy it, and on the other channels they can too. But the original rabbit hole will go longer, either be on Twitch or on one of the other platforms that we have. And, with your help, your subscriptions and your tips, they do help put these things together and help me pay for, things like electricity and parts necessary. And this next week, there's going to be a lot of days where I'll come in real short, and then I won't be in due to what's happening here. There will be a lot of videos, a lot of live stuff that will happen, and you'll all be part of that, as well as Canuck, because he doesn't know it yet, but we're going to pipe him in. But yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun this next week, and I'm getting ready to receive people here starting tomorrow, and then over the week I'll have another one or two, and we'll see how that goes. And then the following week I've got more people coming in, and it's just going to be one after another. Plus, there'll be good times. A lot of videos, like I said, and then I'll be editing them and condensing them down so all the what is edited out. 4444. Yeah. 4 duck. It means duck there, Flutter Girl. And they'll get none on you for sure. But I want to thank you all for being here, and we might do more rabbit holes because they're not so long. I don't get wiped out, and Canuck doesn't either. They are very tasking, but they're a lot of fun. I'll tell you, I have a lot more fun doing rabbit holes than anything else. And I want to thank you all for your support. Go ahead, Canuck, you have it.
Yeah, well, 3-hour ones when we were doing 1 or 2 of those a week, it plays you out pretty good. So it probably is better that we're keeping them short, because then it's not as stressful.
And I tend to do more like little mini rabbit holes too, during the morning or in some other time. But these rabbit holes, doing them for about an hour, I think is beneficial because we can stay more on topic. Like we did have a couple of topics today, but
you never know how it's going to go.
Yeah, I know. And if they do go longer, they'll go longer. But I know the very first time we were encountering this year, the other channels shut us off, and then we lost the recordings.
Yeah.
So right now it's 56 minutes. I know Facebook will shut us off after an hour, and Locals shuts us off after an hour. We'll be on Rumble. We'll be on some of the other ones as well. All these platforms will be great because we'll get more exposure, and then hopefully get more people to be talking about the world around them and what's going on. And somebody might know something that we don't know. And that's more than likely. So we're just a couple of citizen scientists reporting what's going on around you and us.
Yep. We always need more stuff to add in.
I know, right?
So it is.
I do not think it's as simple as cut and dry as we've been told. And if you do, that's great. You might think of a flat earth too, and you think you're in an interdimensional, whatever. That's cool too. But we have to see a lot more evidence of that to be able to present it to people. And again, we'll put out theories and we'll put out ideas, and they're created to generate the discussion, to bring out. If you have something you said this is how it is and you're wrong, put it out there. Grow a pair, man. There's plenty of people here that love to rip it up and love to discuss, truth, seekers of the truth. And I love it. I love Quake Cat. I love Eddie and Flutter, Dub Diesel and AZ, Walleye King, who's en route. Can't wait. Be safe, my brother. Love you. Timmy, Susan's out there. Vampire Girl, love you, embrace you. Doc Rock 18, Rocket Bob 76. Just Simply Sue. God, you gotta love Sergeant Schultz. I know nothing. Brainstorm, Milkman Doom, and Spunky Mango. If I didn't call your name, that's because you don't want it called. I can see you, but you don't see yourself to say hi to us. But we appreciate you, and come join us, man. Come join us. Thanks so much, guys and gals. Love y'all. Take care. And remember, don't get none on you. And that recording's complete. And I will turn off the other ones. All right. In the stream.